Hey friends, and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new, welcome. My name's Amy Rebecca, and while I am definitely not what most people would consider that girl, I am working on creating my dream life and taking you guys along on the journey. And today's video is for all of you sleepyheads out there, because I am going to be sharing some of the tips and little life hacks that I've been using over the last few months to wake up earlier. These things have definitely worked for me, but they're mostly not tips that I've heard anybody else talking about. And I think that's because a lot of people who make these kinds of videos are morning people, and they're trying to teach people how to become morning people. My name's Amy, and I'm not a morning person. Quite the opposite, in fact. So instead of trying to force myself to become a morning person and love the morning, because I don't know if that's possible, I've just introduced some little tweaks to my routines and new habits to make the morning more bearable and a little bit more enjoyable for me as someone who hates it. And it's worked. I find it so much easier to get up now. I'm waking up a lot easier. I'm waking up a lot happier. And I want to share this kind of positivity with all of you. Okay, that's pretty much it for my introduction. So now let me share my top tips for waking up earlier. The first point that I think is really important to make is, why do you even want to wake up earlier in the first place? I think it's a really trendy thing right now when you look at the whole that girl aesthetic, that waking up at 5:30 a.m. and having a green juice and going to the gym is touted as what everyone should be doing. But if it's not really relevant to you in your life, then you probably don't need to do it at all. Some people work better later at night, and that's fine. Some people need more sleep than others, and that's also fine. Ask yourself why you're actually aiming to wake up earlier. If it's because it's going to benefit you in your life in some way, then I got you. These tips will probably help. But if it's just because you feel like you should, then why? If waking up earlier doesn't actually serve you a purpose, don't do it because some girl on TikTok told you to, okay? Take it from some girl on YouTube. You don't have to. Anyway, okay, the thing that I think has made the biggest difference to me waking up earlier, and not even just earlier, but feeling a lot more energized and happier when I do wake up, is waking up with the sunrise. I've stopped sleeping with my curtains closed so that as the sun gradually rises in the morning, it peeks its little head in through my window and helps to cue to my body that it's getting ready to wake up. This is a very natural way of waking up, right? Because think about the history of mankind. We haven't always had iPhones to wake us up in the morning. For most of our existence, waking up has been cued by sunrise. It's also so much less maddening than being in a deep, cozy slumber and then all of a sudden, beep, beep, beep. Being woken up out of a deep sleep by an alarm clock is a surefire way to have a dreadful, bad-tempered morning, in my experience. Whereas when you wake up with the sunrise, it's really gradual. You're not just yanked out of a deep sleep. You have time to come to. It feels a lot more relaxed. It's great. Obviously, I set an emergency alarm just in case I'm particularly tired one morning and I oversleep. I am aware that this isn't going to work for everyone. If you live somewhere with a lot of light pollution, or somewhere where the days are crazy back to front, some nights last for 17 hours and then some days last for 23, Alaska, obviously we're going to need to make some adjustments here. Even in the UK during the winter time, our nights are very long, so you couldn't rely on the daylight to wake you up in December, or you'd never get to work. I have been researching though, and there are these pretty nifty clocks you can get that will emulate the sunrise. So instead of relying on the natural light from outside, you have a DIY version on your nightstand. I, for one, am going to be getting one of these. I don't necessarily need one during the summer months because we've got enough natural light. But as soon as we start to get into the autumn, I'm gonna need one. My next tip is, don't make waking up earlier feel like a punishment. If you're not a natural morning person and you're trying to get yourself to wake up earlier, it can feel like such a chore. It can feel really not fun. I understand. So the key here is really to make it as easy and as enjoyable as possible. The more it feels like a punishment, the more it kind of goes against the grain and just feels like a constant battle, the less likely you're going to be to actually want to do that thing and keep on with that habit. And that goes with all habits. Anytime you're trying to create a new healthy or positive or good habit, you want to make it as easy and achievable as possible. You don't want to make it feel like a fight. You don't want to make it feel like a horrible thing that you're forcing yourself to do. One of the most common things that you will see these like super productive early riser type people say that you should do is like get up and like go for a run, or get up and go to the gym, or like get up and be your most productive, energized self. And that's great if that brings you joy. That's great if you have the energy and mental willpower to do those things. It's great if that makes you happy. But if you're not a morning person and you just don't have that kind of drive and energy first thing in the morning, then trying to force yourself to not only wake up earlier, but then go and exert all of this energy you don't have, that's going to be miserable. I am not waking up, like jumping out of bed and like running to the gym, because I know I wouldn't enjoy that. Instead, I try and find something really enjoyable to do first thing in the morning. So I will get up, I will have my breakfast, and then while I drink my cup of coffee, which I really enjoy, I will read a chapter of a personal development book, which I also really enjoy. What are you going to be more likely to get out of bed to do when you're toasty and warm under your covers and you don't really feel like it? Something that feels like a chore, or something that feels like a treat. If you want to go to the gym first thing in the morning, if that makes you happy, then that's the thing you should do. But if not, don't. If your morning routine is something that you enjoy and is comfortable to you and makes you happy, then you're going to want to stick to it. The next thing that I think is really important that I really don't see people talking about with regards to waking up earlier is to make it a gradual process. So often on TikTok, I see these girls who are like killing it and I'm like, yes, queen, live your life. But they'll be like, you should start waking up at 5:30 a.m. And as we've already discussed, no, you shouldn't if it doesn't serve you. But also, if you're currently waking up at like 8 or 8:30 a.m. and you try to tomorrow wake up at 5:30, it's not going to go so well. You need to make gradual change. You need to give your body time to adapt. You need to give yourself time to like get into this new routine and these new habits. I would recommend only trying to wake up 15, maybe 30 minutes earlier than you do right now. Do that for a full week, and if at the end of that week you feel like that is coming to you quite naturally now, then go for another 15 to 30 minutes the next week. Again, this is about making this change as easy to maintain as possible. You don't want to make it a fight against yourself. For that reason, I also recommend this kind of counterintuitive sounding tip. I mentioned this in my most recent morning routine video, but I'm going to say it again because I think it's really worked for me, and I don't think a lot of people would tell you this because it sounds crazy. Lay in bed. I said it. If you are trying to wake up earlier and it's just really difficult for you, you really find yourself just not wanting to get up earlier, then the best thing that I recommend is, like I said, set your alarm 15 minutes, 30 minutes earlier than usual, and then when that alarm goes, lay in bed. Read, scroll on TikTok, read the news, like do something really chilled. Again, this is about making this habit as easy to maintain as possible. You don't want to scare yourself out of it and feel like, oh, this is such a horrible thing that I'm doing to myself, I want to quit. You're being awake earlier, which is going to change the rhythm of your sleeping patterns, right? It's going to get your brain in that state where it's easier to wake up at that time every day. But it doesn't feel as difficult as waking up, jumping out of bed and trying to do things when you're still kind of adjusting to this shift. For the first few weeks of me trying to wake up earlier, I would lay in bed and scroll through TikTok for like 20 minutes. Now I don't even reach for my phone because I'm so used to waking up earlier. I kind of don't need that extra time in bed. But initially, I really did need it. I didn't have the energy to get up and go for it, but I still wanted to be awake. And that was a great compromise. You don't have to do things perfectly. You just have to do them in a way that you can. I feel like that sounded a lot more motivational in my head than it actually came out. But you know what I mean, right? The next tip that I think is actually really useful for trying to wake up earlier and feel good about waking up is to hydrate before you go to bed. I saw that viral TikTok video about taking magnesium with a full glass of water before bed to help you feel more energized in the mornings. And I have been doing that for the last like 30 days. I've been taking this magnesium from Holland & Barrett, and apparently it was the wrong kind of magnesium anyway. I don't know. Honestly, I don't think the magnesium did anything, but I think the water played a really big role in making me feel more energized in the morning. Because think about it, if you're going to sleep for like 7 or 8 hours during the night, that's a long time to go without any kind of hydration. And if the last time you had something to drink was maybe like an hour or 2 hours before you went to bed, you're just extending the amount of time that your body is not having access to new water. I'm working on becoming a more hydrated version of myself anyway, but drinking a full glass of water like right before I go to bed, I think has made a huge difference in my energy levels when I wake up the next morning. Yes, for the first week I had to get up during the night to pee, and that was annoying. But now I feel like the complete opposite is true. If I forget to drink my glass of water before I go to bed, I wake up in the middle of the night feeling so thirsty because my body is now used to having that hydration and that water to kind of power it through the night. And my fifth tip, and I feel kind of bad ending on this one because this one is a little bit cliche. It's very cliche. Go to bed earlier. Ta-da! Okay, I know what you're gonna say, duh, but it really does make a difference. Even if you're only waking up an hour earlier per day, you really want to make sure that you're going to sleep an hour earlier per night. I didn't really think that an hour or an hour and a half or even half an hour would make that much difference, but it did. After maybe 2-3 weeks of waking up earlier, I was exhausted. I felt completely run down. I just had no energy. And then I realized it was because I just wasn't getting enough sleep. I started going to bed an hour earlier, and within a couple of nights, I felt like a completely different person. Not only that, but trying to get better quality of sleep so that you wake up feeling refreshed and not exhausted. I fully understand how difficult that can be. I suffered from insomnia for a long time. Recently, I feel like I've started to get it under control because of a lot of the new habits that I've been implementing into my life. I've slept better over the last few months than I have in most of my adult life. I can make a whole other video about that, of how to like get better quality sleep, of the habits that I've been using to make sure that when I go to bed, I actually do sleep. That has had a huge impact, and in a lot of ways I think waking up earlier has actually helped my insomnia. My routine and my rhythm is where it's meant to be now. Anyway, if you want me to make a video about those kinds of things, about how to get better quality sleep and how I've managed to do that for myself, let me know. I'd be happy to do that too. But those are all of my tips for waking up earlier. I hope that these have been useful to you. These have had a huge impact for me. This is a big deal. If you've been following this channel for a while, you'll know I'm not a natural morning person. But now I do wake up earlier and I feel so much happier and more refreshed. Still wouldn't consider myself a morning person. It's not my best time throughout the day. I can still be very grouchy in the morning, but I definitely feel a lot more energized. I feel a lot more like well rested. I just feel better overall, even though I'm waking up earlier, which I never thought was possible. So hopefully you guys can put these tips into practice in your own routine and you will see amazing results too. If you guys enjoyed this video, please go ahead and let me know by giving it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed already, why not? We get together twice a week here to discuss all things personal development, intentional living, and dream chasing. So if that sounds like something you want to be a part of, go ahead and hit the subscribe button to join the Odd Squad. We're all oddballs here. But until next time, thank you guys so much for watching. Remember that I love you so much. You are enough just as you are, and I will see you all soon. Bye guys.